What is up, everybody? We are going to be trying something new today because this is something I am very passionate about. It is a once in a generation event, and it is those kind of um, epic moments of sporting history that we want to cover. This is something we really love to talk about as well. So if you're not into um, football, the World Cup that is going on right now, that's fine. We will be covering LSU stuff like normal, nonstop. We'll have an article out by the morning. Um, you probably saw my tweet about hinting about Easton Royal and a potential flip. Um, LSU are trying like crazy to make sure he does not go on that trip to Austin, but it looks like he's going to be going to honor that visit. But you know, it's looking like a flip is very possible to Easton Royal. It looks like some of the stuff we reported earlier on Easton Royal is looking to be very accurate about and well sourced. And some of the other stuff, some of the other reporters have put out there about Easton Royal as well. Um, Good reporting is all around. The 2026 World Cup has begun. And this is an event inside the United States, Canada, and Mexico. I mean, what is going on? I logistically, when I heard that was what was going on, I was like, that's how it's going to be set up. Oh my God, this is going to be a disaster. And people were like, oh, but by 2026 we'll have speed trains going from continent to continent. Oh, it'll be all good. The logistics and travel will be nothing. And we have heard some really dark signs from fans of how bad and how nasty the travel has been to go to games for this World Cup. But we will talk about all that kind of off the field stuff and the kind of the tone around the games and stuff. But I want to focus on the actual football on the field because it's been, I don't know about you. I really haven't listened to too many people like their overall take on the actual World Cup so far, the actual sport itself, the actual playing of the game. Usually people are talking about everything else, but you know what I'm saying? But as far as for me, I haven't had any influence or listened to anybody's real like take on any of this. This is purely my view of how I've seen the World Cup go down so far. For me, the World Cup has been incredible. And here's why. Over the last few tournaments, 2022 World Cup was fantastic, but it was more epic moments in the knockout rounds. The group stage had some really sufferable matches. Okay. But what really has hit me, that pass by Michael Odyssey. Despite all of that, the World Cup has been incredible. You even had Ahmad Hussein, I believe his name is, from Iran, or sorry, from Iraq, who was detained for 7 hours and then goes on to scoring a World Cup goal for Iran is pretty. I mean, that's incredible as it is. But then on the back of everything that dude has been through as well, that's insane. And you've seen these type of performances. You've seen these incredible performances. I probably shouldn't show anymore, or I'm going to get a copyright strike. I forget that soccer is even worse with copyright strikes. Oh my God, that pains me because I could dissect the film night and day and just go on and on about this and drool about it, just like we do with LSU, because it's been so inspiring, guys. The when you see sports at this high a level, and I've seen it across social media, the reactions, it touches every sports fan. You've seen Pat McAfee waxing lyrical about Messi and the hat trick that we saw. You saw everyone blown away by what the USA national team was able to do. with their 4-1 explosion over Paraguay. There have been a lot of high flying, high octane games where, you know, like Iran, New Zealand. In some other tournament, that's like a 0-0, 1-0, maybe 1-1 at most. It was a 2-2, and some of the goals were actually quite brilliant. So my point is Japan, Netherlands, that game with 2-2. There's been halves in some of these games. Japan, Netherlands was awful that first half, and then that second half just exploded. You have England, Croatia, where England just go for it finally. They just finally go for it and finally really give it to the other team and just actually give it a go and just go off for 4 goals. They do allow 2 at the back, and that's more to do with Thomas Tuchel not starting Mark Gahey alongside John Stones than it has to do with anything. Terrible mistakes, but also 2 incredible goals for Croatia. That header back from Perisic, that header kind of he turns back, heads that thing cushioned down, like a cushioned layoff down for Musa to just rip that thing on the like just an unbelievable finish and unbelievable goal. And that's like Perisic also had another headed assist in a World Cup semifinal against England in 2018. Like the guys, then he scored a header in the 2018 World Cup final against France. What he does with his head is incredible. Ivan Perisic, the assists, the goals. I guarantee right now, if I looked it up, he probably has at least 5 headed assists in like tournament play. Perisic actually has quite the resume with his numbers as far as statistics. You you the Batarina goal in response to England, Harry Kane scoring off of just a ridiculous corner from Declan Rice, perfect header, wide open, but 2-2 in the first half there, and then England could have scored 7 goals in that second half. Livakovic has to make one save after another. I think he finished with 9 saves, and he even made a last man tackle, Livakovic, as a goalkeeper. Croatia had to make 3 last man tackles as a defense. Luka Modric had no effect, but England just incredible. So we will just have started there with 3.15 goals per match, 82 goals scored so far. In comparison, the 2022 World Cup is lauded as the greatest World Cup ever. That had 2.69 per match, right? So we are way ahead of schedule as far as like going for the most goals ever in a World Cup. The goals are flying. I mean, even a team like Austria, they just pump out 3. And there hasn't been many own goals or scruffy goals. What we've seen has been some beautiful, sexy goals. So far, we've only got 5 own goals. And that has been way down from the other tournaments in the past. The last few tournaments has been insane with own goals. There's just a lot of garbage, unassisted, kind of not lucky, but kind of just garbage, just kind of bundle it over the line type of goals. And instead, you've seen absolutely just beautiful, sexy play, brilliant passing play. That those assists from Gyökeres, from Andre, Alexander Isak to Gyökeres, and back and forth, vice versa, for Sweden were just incredible the other night. But then the assist from Michael Olise that we just showed to Mbappe, ridiculous, ridiculous pass. The assist from Declan Rice, that corner right onto Harry Kane's head. I mean, what a delivery. What a freakish delivery. We've seen brilliant, brilliant assisting play as well. You've got 5 or 6 guys who already have 2 assists from just the first game. And a lot of those guys got subbed off and could have went for more. You've already got a dude with a hat trick. You've already got, I think, 6 or 7 guys with 2 plus goals in the first game already. I mean, the USA put up 4 goals over Paraguay, including that Gio Reyna screamer. We'll start there, okay? We'll kinda go through because that was one of that was the 4th match of the tournament, the USA Paraguay that Friday, or sorry, that Saturday night. And it was incredible because the USA just came out pressuring high in Paraguay's face, giving them no time at all, just and then giving the ball to Pulisic very quickly. Get him the ball. Get him as many touches as possible. And guys, Christian Pulisic just went to work. Just absolutely carved up the Paraguayan defense. And that own goal, that's the first goal of the tournament, is an own goal where Pulisic passes it in, and I think it was Weston McKennie. He's trying to pass it, but it gets blocked and goes right into the goal. Okay, you could actually give that as an assist to Pulisic too, because he's creating that whole thing. So, and then the next move, he's racing down the wing and delivers a cross on the carpet through a defender's legs so pinpoint that it shaves the inside of the defender's legs to the point that I wondered, ooh, did it get too much of a deflection that they, won't give Pulisic the assist here? But of course they did. Folarin Balogun, 2 goals as well. The US just came out and were so impressive in that first half. Absolutely ate Paraguay alive. And then, even though it was kind of uglier, it was actually impressive how they just gave Paraguay nothing in that second half. Absolutely nothing. Tyler Adams just dominant in midfield. Dominant. And Aaron Freeman at right back had a hell of a game. Serginho Dest as this right wing back, right forward, right back helper, kind of like you had like a tube running right back system in a way, but with enough space and delineation of roles that it was just so perfect to see that setup. And Serginho Dest is a player I've always been a fan of. He was actually fantastic at the 2022 World Cup. People forget that. And he had his patches here and there for Barcelona. I'm a big Barcelona fan, so I think Dest very underrated, very overlooked, and it's great to see him have this moment where he was dribbling up and down that wing and was fantastic for the USA. But guys, Gio Reyna come off the bench, 10 minutes left. I'm a huge Reyna fan. And I'm wondering what's he gonna be able to do here? Like he's got barely any time. He's gonna have barely any time to do anything. Maybe kind of like a fast break assist. Maybe like there'll be like a fast break and he kind of like gets some sick assist or something. Like he'll kind of slide it through and someone else gets this goal and he kind of gets like a couple hugs and a little bit of credit, but people are kind of like, oh, you just made a pass. This guy, he really did the deed. You didn't do anything. I was kind of worried about that for Reyna, that he just wasn't really. Once again, he's going to start the tournament, not in the best of light, where barely gets any time, barely gets any minutes, and instead he does only get like 15 minutes, but he comes off the bench. It looks fantastic. This tiki-taka passing that, and I'm not meaning that in a negative context, but really having some flair about his play. And seconds before the goal, he makes this sick slip pass that is so dangerous, but the vision is beautiful. He slips the ball through all of this cluster. There's a cluster of pressure, and a cluster of USA guys with Paraguay guys right on their asses in this corner of the field, right by the left back. And Gio Reyna flicks it out of there into this wide open space, just clears the ball out to, I believe it was Tyler Adams. And it was just such a beautiful play, but Reyna gets collided into. And he gets up and he gets into the face of the guy who's done that. And I'm like, oh my God, Reyna, what are you doing? I'm thinking Reyna's about to get a red card. I'm like, dude, get up. Come on. Just ignore this bullshit. And luckily, Aaron Freeman gets the ball and he's almost wanting to dribble into the corner flag. But I see Reyna coming up the field and I'm like, cut the damn thing back. Cut the thing back. I wanted this moment for Gio Reyna so bad. You have no idea. No idea. His parents ruined it for him for a few years there. Put him in the wilderness with all the bitching and moaning after the 22 World Cup. His own attitude did as well. But this is a kid who all of his faults were more exaggerated than ever before. All of his greatness has been really shackled, handcuffed. And it just felt like in one stellar moment, all of that fell away. When he gets the ball from Aaron Freeman, I'm like, shoot the fucking thing, you know? I'm like screaming, like, shoot the damn thing. He has like 2 or 3 seconds of hesitation because of that lack of confidence being almost beaten out of him. I mean, that confidence being beaten out of him over a few years, you know? And instead, he just goes, I'm going to rip this thing. And you can see he rips that thing inside of his foot, just poof, the follow through with the outside, unfreaking real, curls it around the keeper into the corner of the net. Absolute perfect, picturesque goal in like legitimately the last kick of the game. And now, not only is that the cherry on top, and no one's talking about a poor USA second half because they didn't, make it 6-1 or whatever after such a great start. People are talking about Gio Reyna coming on, putting the cherry on top, but like now, the depth of the USA national team is so abundant, so clear, and so obvious. And Reyna, man, if something's wrong with Pulisic, you can move you can put McKennie out there and then move Reyna inside and you'll be fine. There's such a wealth of incredible talent for this team. And then, okay, the USA, they stamped their marker, but they're going to play a very tough team to score against, which is Australia. They're a brick wall of like 6'9" guys. No one expected anything out of them, and they upset Turkey, who Turkey had like 90 billion shots. Like, Arda Güler took like 8 shots himself. They set up so many chances. The finishing was horrendous from Turkey, but also those defenders had block after block after block, clearance after clearance, and then Beach, the goalkeeper for Australia, had 8 or 9 saves. It was incredible. I feel bad for Turkey because they basically played their damn hearts out and got nothing. And this is the first World Cup since 2002. They've been great in the Euros in a few different times, 2008 most notably, getting to the semis, but they just hadn't been able to qualify for a World Cup. Finally, they're here at one, and they just shit themselves. It really was shocking, especially in a game where they really needed to win this thing, because Turkey are lucky their final game is against the USA, because they'll be able in this next one most likely to get this victory. You would think. But then I want to talk about Brazil, Morocco. Oh man, this was a fun game to watch, because that first half, Morocco were all over them. Bouadi, who I think is an incredible player, guys. This guy was just eating them alive. And he's someone that my buddy Parker Parker Yates, a good friend of mine, talked to me about. He always is up on the up and coming new stars. You know, he's always, hey, this dude's gonna be the next superstar. He was on Hazard and on these other guys' radars, Kevin De Bruyne, some of these guys way before I was, and was telling me, hey, Hazard, De Bruyne, these type of guys, Marco Reus at one point, Götze at one point, the Dortmund team of that Klopp era, 2011, 2012, Gundogan, he almost every great young player he's got the pulse of, and he's like, dude, this Buati guy is incredible. And when he saw that Morocco were able to secure his services away from the French national team, who weren't going to put him on their senior team, no way in hell. It was already too loaded, right? They're not going to take this kid who plays from Lille, but he has Moroccan parents, Moroccan background. He can play for Morocco. And man, he's only been with Morocco for a few months. He's only played with them like 3 or 4 times. And in his World Cup debut against Morocco, I don't care about player ratings on like whoscored.com. He only has like a 7.0. The guy ran the freaking match. The dude toyed with Brazil. All these people who picked Brazil pre-tournament, I don't know what they're thinking. Brazil has no cohesion. They think they're going to be able to Real Madrid their way through this tournament, where they're going to have no cohesion, no rhythm, no rhyme, no reason to anything that they do. But individualism, individual moments of brilliance are going to carry them through. The likes of Vinicius, Rafinha, Casemiro will have this great last dance as well, and we'll just pull it off. And Igor Thiago will just somehow score, 5 goals in the tournament. And Danilo, who's like 90 at right back, who plays in the Brazilian league, is somehow going to defend against the best wingers, because now you're down to nothing except for him and Alexandro as your fullbacks. Santos, who's like 32 as well. That's the thing, is Brazil have nothing at fullback, and so there's so much is called upon for Rafinha and Vinicius to do out there on the wing, just to even create their own attacking space. And the midfield, Bruno Gomes, you expect him to be dominant, and he was overrun, by Einaoui and Buati and Unai. They just absolutely bossed the midfield. And Morocco, I think, accepted the 1-1 way too much. They really were like, okay, we're good with a 1-1. We're fine with a 1-1. And I felt like Brazil were there for the taking. Brazil were really just, Brazil were really just not impressive whatsoever. At all. They were I can't remember much that they did. I can't remember much that they were able to do outside the Vinicius goal. They had 5 shots on target, 12 shots total, but they're playing against Bonu, a brilliant keeper. He only had to make 4 saves, but here's the thing too. Morocco absolutely opened that game in such dominant fashion. Siberi with that ridiculously beautiful chipped goal over Allison. But after that, man, except for that Allison double save later, they really didn't have to do shit. I mean, sorry, they didn't really do shit. They really didn't do much of anything. I was really stunned by that, by how you have this team on the ropes. You can win the group in this game right now if you win this thing 2-1. You really absolutely have Brazil by the balls. And they didn't go for it. They did not go for it. And I think that shows, like, the lack of experience their manager has as well as the players. I think if they hadn't got rid of, Walid Retegui, or however you say his name, the coach who the manager who led them to the 3rd or 4th place, the semifinals and 3rd place game of the last World Cup, and, as losing finalists of the last AFCON. I'm not gonna give them the title. They didn't win it. They didn't win it on the field. I'm not giving them the title. But if that guy had stayed, maybe they say, "We're gonna go win this thing." But there was no one like a Hakeem Ziyech coming off the bench to come and maybe steal victory with, like, a brilliant corner or something. As technically brilliant as Morocco's players are, like El Khanous, Unai, Brahim Diaz as well, who had the ridiculous, beautiful assist for Saibari. I'm just not a fan of Brahim Diaz, though, I gotta say. Eh, Ashraf Hakimi had a great game. Shadi Riyad, a former Barcelona guy, a center back who I always have been a fan of. I thought the world had kind of forgot about him. It's so cool to see him starting and delivering for Morocco because Aguerd was hurt pre-tournament and was wiped from the squad, just like Abde Zalzouli, probably butchering his name. Abde, former Barcelona guy as well, was cut from the squad due to injury. Um, you know, you wondered if they had had Abde and his pace out on the wings against those fullbacks for Brazil. I'm really thinking it's like a 4-1 because Morocco were all over them. If they had had Abde to really just go dig in more, who knows? But a 1-1 draw was kind of what a lot of people expected that match would turn into, and that's what it became. And we got to remember, it's just the first match of the World Cup, just the first match, and that's kind of how these things tend to go. In the end, it is a tournament. You're playing for points in this group stage. Germany against Curacao. I really love to see Joshua Kimmich getting, a boatload of assists. He got 2 in the game, could have had way more. Nathaniel Brown in his Germany tournament debut, and it feels like the kid's like 2nd or 3rd cap, just barely on the national team scene, gets a goal and an assist, and then Dennis Undav he just plays like the last 25 minutes, and he walks off the field with 2 assists and a brilliant goal. I mean, both assists were absolutely mouth-watering, and what a super sub type of player that Germany can call on. Dennis Undav from Stuttgart, a player that I've been screaming about for a while, that I just feel like Germany really have ignored. Nagelsmann has ignored for way too long. And my God, you just saw what he can do very quickly off the bench, 2 assists and a goal. And, Germany, people have worried about them. People have wondered about them, how well they would perform at this tournament. And I understand it is Curacao. I get it. But as we'll get into, you saw certain teams. My team that I picked to win the whole thing have one of the biggest shockers you will ever see in World Cup history as well against one of these smaller teams. So to say it's just a formality, there's no problem, like it's easy, like no, no, no. Germany really put Krakow to the sword. Florian Wirtz was brilliant with that little layoff assist, but Felix Nemchea, man, he was just shooting at will. Could have had 2 goals early, earned a penalty for Kai Havertz as well. Kai Havertz has scored 2 goals in every tournament he's appeared in for Germany, and he's scored 2 already in this tournament. Kimmich, as I said before, gets 2 assists. Nico Schlotterbeck was brilliant at the back, but, it was cool to see Curacao score and actually tie the match up before, um, you know, Germany just went to town in that second half, and Musiala gets a goal and then goes, off early to kinda give him a rest, make sure he doesn't get injured, smart move. But, like, Germany, very under the radar, but man, it feels like they can just score bunches of goals out of nowhere, and it feels like they found some options that work out wide, with Nathaniel Brown at left back being someone who could really he's really a difference maker here, had a brilliant corner that was turned into a goal. Just very active. It seems like a very good defender as well, at least not a naive defender. And man, he really performed above and beyond what many were expecting. When I saw his name on the list, I was like, interesting. I know he just barely was signed by Bayern. Let's see what we get here. And man, what a player. Dennis Hundov as well. Germany are quietly loaded, and they're gonna have a tough road though. They're gonna have to if they're gonna win the World Cup, they're gonna have to get through France in the quarterfinals, or sorry, the round of 16. If they win the group, like there's some difficult pathways for them. So it'll be interesting to see how they develop here. The Netherlands and Japan was 2-2. That was a epic game. The first half was awful. The worst half of football in the tournament. The Netherlands just sideways, 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 sideways. Frankie de Jong was neat. He was tidy, but everything he did went nowhere. He took way too many touches. Gravenberch and him, it was just too slow. Way ponderous. And look at that midfield. Tiani Reinders, Frankie de Jong, and Ryan Gravenberch all in the same midfield. I mean, you would expect complete domination, even against Japan. Japan are a great squad, but you know what? They've had some major injuries before this tournament to some key dudes. But still, they pull off the 2-2 draw with, of course, that last second goal from Daichi Kamada. Van Dijk scores that header where he scores the header and he's following the ball. It's such a brilliant shot, that angle. I want to try and find that because that looks so funny. But Somerville scores as well. A player I don't really think much of, Somerville. It just doesn't do it for me. He's just not an interesting player. It's kind of just a dumb athletic kind of specimen. Just doesn't really do it for me. I got to be honest. I don't know why. I feel like I'm being a dick, but like I have to be honest here. Somerville does not really interest me, and so I want to see something more from the Netherlands. I want to see Memphis Depay really take over in this tournament. I want to see him really become something back to his best, as we've seen before from him. But he is getting up there in age and coming off of a typical injury for him, but he should be fine to really start to stamp his mark in the tournament. But the Netherlands, at times they were rampant in that second half. But I never really felt like I never really felt like they were in complete control, and that makes no sense because they have such a dominant squad, especially the Liverpool and Premier League contingent of their squad with Gakpo, Van Dijk, Van de Ven, Reinders, Gravenberch, who had two brilliant assists, by the way, um, denied a hat trick of assists, sadly. And the Netherlands were up 2-1 against the Japanese and had a chance to really put the Japanese to the sword, and instead Ronald Koeman, ever the negative manager, puts on Nathan Ake and takes off Somerville, doesn't really replace anything on the outside or the wings to help Memphis Depay out, give Memphis Depay someone to aim for. Just made zero sense and was such a stupid error from Ronald Koeman, such a safe, dumb, scared, you know, really fearful type of error. Moving on, still, covering the best of what we thought from this first group stage matches. Sweden we'll get into just very quickly here. Guys, Gyökeres, Isak, unbelievable what those two were doing together. But then Yassine Ayari with two wonder goals, and Lucas Bergvall out of Tottenham gets an assist for one of them. Just unbelievable attacking qualities. I mean, they were so good they made Tunisia fire their coach mid-tournament. So 5-1. It'll be interesting to see how Sweden kind of continue in this tournament. But guys, Spain. This is the team I picked to win the tournament. I picked them to beat Argentina and Messi, my favorite player of all time. I picked them to win the tournament. I picked Spain to beat Argentina in the tournament. I picked them to really be dominant and really kind of go off. Have an incredible World Cup. And when you have these moments, when you have these games where you're playing against Cape Verde and you're Spain and you can't even score a goal. I mean, it is one of the most shocking results I've ever seen in the World Cup. Ever. You have that much domination, that much just complete dominion over the football. Cape Verde could not get out of their own half. And Spain, Pedri had created 5 chances himself. It's not like Spain weren't creating chances. Ferran Torres once again misses another big chance for club or country, pounds the bar from 2 yards out. He scores there, and it's a completely different game. Instead, what we saw was Spain playing like 2022 against Morocco. 800 total passes. Rodri had 126 passes. Kubarsi, 110 passes. America Laporte, 110 passes. Kubarsi, 109. Pedri, 99. Llorente, 82. Key passes, 19 key passes. Pedri with 5. Llorente with 3. Rodri with 3. Mikel Moreno with 2. Cucurella was probably the only attacking weapon they had all match with his runs over the top and his header back across, into traffic, created the chance where where Ferran Torres hits the post. That's really this is this is this is ugly from Spain. 7 shots on target, just not enough. This is against Cape Verde. And I'm so happy for Vizinha. 7 saves, absolutely, absolutely dominant. But if you're Spain, you're just like, man, even if we win this thing, I'm gonna look back on this and be like, oh, that keeps you up at night. You could have had a hat trick. You could have had 3 or 4 assists in that game. Spain, took care of business with a situation like this when they played Costa Rica to open the 2022 World Cup, and they score 7 goals. They weren't even looking to score a goal in this game. Weren't even looking to score a goal in this game, guys. Someone would be making a run, the first run in 2 or 3 minutes of just pass, 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 and they would literally hold their hand up like, "It's okay, don't make the run, just stay." Everyone wanted the ball to their feet. No one is willing to make a run in behind. And then when they sub on Lamine Yamal, which really they shouldn't have, come here and rescue this result in the first game because it's that embarrassing. No. Yamal should have stayed on the bench. But whatever, you bring him on, and it's the best your entire attack looked all game. Pedri was awesome, but he had nowhere to go with the ball. And not only that, but I swear to God, guys, every time Pedri creates these brilliant chances, his teammates just miss them horribly. Just horrible, horrible shanks, horrible misses. I don't understand it. I really don't understand why these horrible, horrible shanks happen so much to Pedri. It's always like just to Pedri and what he sets up. Oh man, but this Spain team, they got to figure it out because Nico Williams is also coming back from injury. So is Yamal. You really can't. I don't even think you should be starting these guys against Saudi Arabia. I think if you start Yamal, De La Fuente is going to start Yamal against Saudi Arabia. He will feel like his career's on the line, and he'll have to. I feel like if you do that, even if Yamal goes off against Saudi Arabia, goes off against the next few teams, at some point he's going to be re-injured in this tournament. You have to let him fully heal here. And the only way to do that is you bring him off the bench throughout the group stage. And then when it becomes the round of 32, then you can start him. But right now, you got to stick with this, and you've got to find out a way to. I mean, Gavi went on about 50 runs that just were not fed, where it's like, man, if you actually give him the football on this run, he's now in the box. Maybe he can cut the ball back. But every time they gave him the football, recognized his run, it was way too late, and he had to just kind of shuffle the ball backwards just to keep possession alive because he had 3 guys on his ass by the time the ball came. There was no cohesion, nothing. Pedri was the only. Pedri and Yamal's cameo appearance, only guiding lights of that game. Only guiding lights of that game. Spain really missed a big opportunity here to make history, and I think that's what messed with them. Instead of just playing the game, they kind of we're going to make history. We're going to score a bunch of goals. We're going to do this instead of just actually playing the game. Next up is France Senegal. It's really weird and how to talk about this game because all the action went down that second half. All the action went down in that second half. And Mbappe pulls out the 2 goals. Olise delivers a brilliant assist, and another one that technically you could give to him, but I think the ball gets poked out from underneath his feet. Technically, the defender gets the last touch, but basically Olise creates 2 of those goals. Mbappe scored his 2 brilliant goals. You saw the one where Bradley Barcola, right off the bench, scores a ridiculous chip. France, here's what they showed in this game. No matter how poorly they're playing, and they showed this in the 2022 World Cup final as well, but no matter how garbage they look, no matter how poo they look, no matter how just absolute poo-poo they look, they can just score 3 or 4 goals before you've even blinked, and you don't even know what the hell's happened to you. Because that's how fast they can counter with the speed of Kylian Mbappe, the speed of thought of Michael Olise, who really could take this tournament completely over. I mean, Michael Olise, who had something like, I think, 25 goals, 29 assists this season. You got Dembele, who really he's never scored a World Cup goal, has actually played really, and I'm a huge Dembele fan, but Dembele's underwhelmed actually in World Cups, even though he had 2 assists in the last World Cup run and was part of the 2018 World Cup team, started games in that 2018 World Cup winning run. He's never scored in the World Cup. He's never scored in the Euros. He's never even had an assist in these tournaments outside of the 2022 World Cup. And so you want to see way more from a guy like Dembele. And I don't think he was really allowed to show that in the position he was in, where he's basically behind Mbappe. He did play this brilliant through ball that Mbappe was so sloppy with and screwed up, and basically just let the ball hit the back of his foot and screwed up what would have been a brilliant goal potentially, and potentially an assist for Dembele. Dembele, you just didn't really see anything from him much. He pressed like crazy though. But France were very lazy, very lethargic, very boring. Okay, that's the thing. They're so boring. Desiree Doué's even out there, and even he wasn't really doing much. And then they just turned the switch on, guys. In the 66th minute, they just turned that switch on and just went off. And I was waiting for Ryan Shirky to come on earlier. Ryan Shirky only got like a 5-minute cameo. This game really came to life when Barcola came off the bench in the 82nd minute and scores that goal, and then Mbappe finishes it off in stoppage time, just seconds after Iliman Ndiaye from Everton, a player I absolutely love, went on a brilliant run and then makes a sick assist for Mbappe, and it was a 2-1 game there. But Senegal, man, they had their chances. Nicholas Jackson hit the post. Mane had a shot that had to be saved. Mike Maignan was terrible in this game. And if there's ever a game where like this is a guy who's going to give up a goal, this was the game. And he gave up a goal, but you thought he was going to cough up some crosses, make some terrible errors. You expected Maignan to really just completely give up the ghost in the second half, and instead he was a non-factor. France dominated a lot of the ball and just territory and just went for it. And it just shows you just don't know what's going to happen with France. They just, this arrogance, or is it confidence thing? I don't know. What I know is France don't really play good football until they're forced to, and then they turn it on. And sometimes that's great, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's you just wish France would play to their ultimate every single game. But guys, France has always been like this. France has always been like this. There's always a 0-0. There's always a weird result in in their group stage. There's always slow starts. There's always defensive play, heavily defensive play. That's always what France has been about. It's only been recently with all of the attacking talent that they're taking full advantage of it. Even with all the great attacking talent of the past with Henry and Trezeguet and Zinedine Zidane, of course, and then Nicolas Anelka. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of guys that Alan Jaurès from Michel Platini, but from that single period of 1998 through the 2000, incredible attacking talent from France, and there was still a ton of 0-0s and 1-0s and things like that. Norway, okay, Norway, once again, another team that could have maybe had in another tournament, it could have been like a 1-0 win, and oh, they look good, 1-0. Yeah. No, Norway just go 4-1. Erling Haaland with 2 goals. Odegaard with an assist on a corner to Leo Ostegard, a defender, brilliant header. And then Erling Haaland basically robbed of an assist by this stupid own goal where he heads the ball across, and yes, the last touch is technically off an Iraqi, but for me, it's almost like it's going on target. I think the goal is Erling Haaland's. And I think if it's not Erling Haaland's, you should at least give him the assist for that one. But I digress. There's only been a few own goals and a few garbage goals in this tournament. But it was great to see Haaland deliver in his World Cup debut. It was great to see Odegaard deliver. I mean, he didn't really do much, but at least he got statistically his name on the board. That will hopefully give him a little bit of confidence to pick his game up. But man, Odegaard needs to really get going, and if he can get going as much as Haaland is, you got Sorloth, you got Nusa, you've really got a team here that can go on a deep run here. A savage run deep into the heart of the World Cup. Guys, we saw history. We saw history the other night, and it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. I am as big of a Messi fan as anyone. I've watched so many Messi matches all the way back to 2005. I remember watching his World Cup debut in Niagara Falls with my brother Eric, where he comes off the bench against Serbia and Montenegro, which is what they were called at the time, and has a ridiculous goal and a ridiculous assist with Crespo and Tevez combining with each. And just like, dude, this guy's going to be so fun to watch. I love his hair. This guy's amazing. Argentina all the way, baby. And then 20 years to the day that Messi made that debut that I watched in Niagara Falls, Messi scores his first hat trick in a World Cup, something I had been waiting decades for, something I had talked about to friends, texted to friends over, conversations, drunken conversations, conversations stoned long into the night, sad, angry conversations after lost World Cup finals, after lost Copa America finals, angry phone calls. Went through the entire gamut of emotions with Lionel Messi, not only as someone who wants him to do well for internationally and being a diehard Argentina fan as well, but really it's also as a Barcelona fan and seeing how much Barcelona took out of him every single season and how he would have nothing left for the World Cup, but would still dig deep and find something and still still put on a show for an entire month when Barcelona had been basically burning his nervous system down into a husk. I mean, Barcelona absolutely rode him into the ground, guys. The amount of matches that he played, the amount of time he spent on the field, the amount of injuries he played through, the amount of minutes clocked. He never would get subbed off. He played in every single game, whether it was like a Copa America, I mean, sorry, or a Copa del Rey match against, Hospitalet, or the Copa del Rey final, or the, you know, FA, some UEFA Champions League last round where we've already qualified for the group like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and he's still gonna start and he's still gonna score a hat trick against, Rapid Vienna or whoever the hell, in the middle of Eastern Europe in the rain. Like he plays through so much and has done so much and has clocked so many miles. And he had never done this. He had always faced great goalkeepers. He had always faced off against unbelievable goalkeepers. He's so unlucky in 2010 and 2014 because he's going up against guys like Kameni. Oh, no, no, no. Who was it? Who was that? It's not Kameni. Kameni was great against Messi a few times, but it was Inyema, Vincent Inyema, who's also played for Espanyol and had some great matches against Messi. But man, Inyema made some unreal saves on Messi. Denied Messi like just dream goals. Denied Messi like World Cups. And Messi finally gets back at him in 2014 after he made brilliant saves in 2010 and denied Messi a goal. And Messi wouldn't score a goal in that tournament. The only tournament he wouldn't score in. Then Messi, gets his revenge with 2 goals against Nigeria in this game. One of which was a rebound, but one of which was a ridiculous free kick. But Messi was so unlucky for years in World Cups, especially 2010. I mean, holy crap. He was so good in the tournament and got nothing. Nothing for it. I mean, he would hit the post with some brilliant run, and then the ball would come rolling straight to Higuain, and Higuain would be able to tap it in, and get a hat trick. Higuain got a hat trick in the 2010 World Cup. 16 years before Messi was able to get his own. That's how that's how that's how justice works in football. It took a long time, but Messi delivers the hat trick in epic fashion against Algeria, a team that just barely beat the Netherlands. This is no pushover. But man, Luka Zidane had a bad game. With his dad watching, Luka Zidane spills one of them for a rebound. He should have saved one of Messi's shots, but it was too powerful, went right through his hand. And then on Messi's third goal, there's just nothing any human could have done outside of having a second head that could have saved them from the fate that Messi's left foot had arranged for them. And it was the gravity of the moment, because this is the last dance. This is the last dance for guys like Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, Modric, De Bruyne, Son, Manuel Neuer, James Rodriguez, Mo Salah, most likely, Harry Kane, possibly. He's 33. Riyad Mahrez, for sure, his last dance. Riyad Mahrez. Wish he would have played more against Argentina. Would have liked to see what he was done. Otamendi, who had a few minutes for Argentina as well. This will be his last dance. Um, there's some real legends of the game who are going to be moving on from this. This will be their last stand in front of a world audience, their last dance playing at this level, their last dance playing for their national teams potentially. But for all of them, it is their last dance playing like at their apex at this level with the world invested and interested, not playing for Saudi Arabia or playing for MLS or whatever. This is that's why you gotta drink it in every moment here. These are the players that marked our generation. You know, Kevin De Bruyne, what he did with the football, his passes, what he did for Manchester City. Luka Modric taking Croatia to a final, winning 5 or was it 6 Champions League titles himself. Neymar, hopefully he can get healthy. He's gonna miss the second match as well here, but hopefully he can get healthy and make some appearances and actually save some face and actually play well. I would love to see Neymar actually silence his critics. Romelu Lukaku, this is probably his last tournament for sure. And Belgium could only get a draw against Egypt, and you thought, oh, Lukaku with a tap in there, brilliant cross by Meunier. Lukaku missed it. It was actually an own goal. These guys are getting on in age, but they're still going to do brilliant things. And Messi just showed you that he's the king of them all. And you know what? We thought 2022 was Messi's last, didn't we? Like, we thought for sure it was Messi's last. And then when I saw the 2024 Copa America final and Messi going off hurt in that final, I told myself, drink this in. This is the last time you're going to see Messi playing in a major tournament for Argentina. And we're wrong. Here he is again. But for guys like Cristiano Ronaldo, this is really the last. For guys like Luka Modric, this is really the last. Kevin De Bruyne, I think this is probably the last. James Rodriguez, I think this is the last. Manuel Neuer, the last. This is a Mahrez, Salah. This is a generation of players that really marked an era of football. John Stones for England, Harry Kane most likely for England as well, as will be his last dance most likely. Jordan Henderson. Um, it's sad. It's sad to see this generation go, and there's also a few guys like Lewandowski who should be here, but their team didn't qualify. He should be here. Um, moving on from that last dance talk because I just want to get over there. That is so intense. The gravity of that whole thing. The fact that this is probably the last time we will see these guys, and that's what makes it all the more embarrassing. What we saw from Cristiano Ronaldo the other day against the Democratic Republic of Congo. Guys, this is a team everyone expected Ronaldo to score 2 or 3 goals against. A lot of the casuals thought, oh, Ronaldo's going to answer Messi and score a hat trick himself. And I was like, oh, yeah? He'll be lucky if he can even get 3 shots off in the game. He's not in the shape. He can't do it. He doesn't have it anymore. And my God, it's not only that he just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe he can still score some goals, but it's how much he takes from his teammates. Bruno Fernandes wide open with the cutback. If Ronaldo just makes the run, like Thierry Henry pointed out, he takes the defender out of the way, clears out the space, and Bruno Fernandes scores. Instead, Ronaldo attempts a shot from like 3 feet behind himself, and of course, it goes off target, out of bounds. Ronaldo, not a single shot on target, barely any touches, barely any passes, barely any involvement in the game, 0 key passes. This is just pure glory hunting. And watching Portugal, every player was playing according and accustomed to what Ronaldo needed. I saw so many times where you got to shoot this thing, right? Nope, cross it inside to Ronaldo. See if we can walk it into the net. It was embarrassing from Portugal. I don't want to hear anyone ever say again that Portugal have the best midfield in this tournament. They do not. I love Yao Neves. I love Yao Neves. So glad he scored. Vitinha is a little overrated in my opinion. He is not as, this perfect, Xavi midfielder as people like to claim. Pedri is miles better than Vitinha. Maybe not miles, but he's solidified in being better than Vitinha. Bernardo Silva gets nothing from this lineup. Neither does Bruno Fernandes. Ronaldo cannot be on the field anymore if Portugal want to win. If Portugal want to win the tournament, they need to put even Gonzalo Ramos. You wish you had Diogo Jota, who, rest in peace, would be on this team and would likely be the guy replacing Ronaldo's ass and putting him on the bench. And that is what's sad, is if Diogo Jota were alive, likely Portugal wouldn't be in this problem because he'd be bagging the goals and Ronaldo, hey, you're going to have to sit your ass down. But it seems like Roberto Martinez is ready to go down off that cliff with Ronaldo come hell or high water. I don't know if Ronaldo has a sex tape on him. Like Martinez, day one, is like, all right, Ronaldo, your time with the national team is done. See ya. And then like Martinez has like a visitor, one of Ronaldo's henchmen, and he's got like a tape. And Martinez is like, oh God, no, they filmed me at the island. No. And Ronaldo's like, you know what you must do. I never come off the field. So I don't know. Does he have a tape on Martinez? It seems like he does, because just like Donald Trump invading Iran, like Martinez is literally doing something that's like, dude, this is going to hurt you. What are you doing? This is ruining you. What are you doing? Portugal are so bad to watch, so awful to watch. Last tournament, they're so god awful in Euro 2024, and they're doing it again. Just one goal against DR Congo, horrendous. England, Croatia. England were absolutely phenomenal. We went into it a bit at the early outset, but guys, this was so much fun. I have never seen an England team play with such attacking flair against an actual contender. Yes, they had attacking flair and dynamism against Iran, in 2022. This is against Croatia. This is against a team that beat them in a World Cup semifinal. This is against a team that went to a World Cup final. This is a team that has been in the semifinals the last 2 World Cups. This is a team that England only scraped by 1-0 in a Euro 2020 opener. This is a team that tied both early goals to England, and answered them. This is a great team, Croatia. And England thrashed them, peppered their goal with shot on target after shot on target. 11 total. England were all up in their grill, in their face, completely dominant. The first half, too much ponderous possession, but they got the goals to make it count. But Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice, both getting assists, both looking unbelievable in midfield. Maybe they need to improve in how they can shield the defense. But I think the defense needing to have Mark Gay and Stones together instead of Konza Stones, they got that whole, Stones should never be on the left, Konza on the right. It's a complete mix-up. Put Stones on the right, put Gay on the left, get this back to normal. But Rice and Anderson were so good in midfield. Bellingham went off in that second half, just completely took over. That goal he scores, Elliot Anderson, brilliant ball over the top, but then Bellingham just charging through the defender and scoring this brilliant goal from a tight angle. A goal like Musiala scored, but with more strength and more power from such a tight angle. Brilliant from the hip goal. But Harry Kane, whether it was him blocking shots with his chest, Kane doing that like it was a scene from Braveheart. It was incredible. Scoring a penalty that has to be retaken. It wasn't so much for Livakovic being early, but Guardiola was encroaching into the box. This was in a complete England onslaught. Even Bukayo Saka comes off the bench. You're thinking he's going to be hurt for most of the tournament. Gets an assist very quickly. Rashford cuts in on his right foot, and the second he did, you knew it was a goal, and he delivers. England are rampant. Even though they allowed 2 goals, you know their defense will improve. You know they will likely not score as many goals again in the tournament. I'm just going to say it right now. They're not going to score 4 goals in another game in this tournament. But it's refreshing finally to see England go up against a contender and actually just go for the win, go for the jugular, and entertain the hell out of us while doing it. England were by far and away the most boring, awful team of Euro 2024. But this is reminding me of what they did at Qatar before they had their untimely exit against France. They were incredible that tournament, very progressive, very in your face. And this is reminding me just of that cocktail, of that mixture. Wish Phil Foden was a part of the team. Wish Phil Foden was informed to be a part of the team, but he only has himself to blame for that. Other than that, this England team looks really good. And like France, they can score bunches of goals out of nowhere. And they can hit you right in the face right when you least suspect it. And they're not going to let you out of your own half, too. Right on top of you. We'll see where they continue to go as their next game is up against who do they play? Oh, they play Ghana next. That'll be interesting. Luis Diaz was brilliant for Colombia against Uzbekistan. Very happy for Uzbekistan. Could have had 2 goals. Dude hit the post with an incredible screamer. But that one went on way late. But Luis Diaz had an unreal assist to Daniel Munoz, who had a crazy diving finish that was just brilliant. That goal was unbelievable. Sensational goal. And then Diaz gets lucky with his goal, with just terrible goalkeeping, really. But even Switzerland scored 4 goals today against Bosnia. Even they put up 4 goals. And Granit Xhaka scoring that penalty. He's scored in 3 World Cups now. Granit Xhaka, a defensive midfielder, scored in 2014, scored in 2018, and now once again. Incredible. Briel Mbolo scored in the first game, gets an assist as well. He's always good for a goal and an assist. Jonathan David is on a hat trick right now with 2 goals. Oh my God. So Canada wins 6-0. Only one of the goals has an assist. Jonathan David scores a hat trick. Jonathan David with 3 goals. Just barely seeing this, guys. Kyle Larin scores as well. That's his 2nd goal of the tournament. Canada scores 6 goals in a World Cup game against Qatar. That's what should be happening right now. You're playing against Qatar, even though you are Canada. Okay? Score the damn goals. We want to see it. I want to see a goal fest. I want to see as many goals as possible in this tournament. I want to see as many hat tricks, as many assists. I want to see it all. Because when the knockout rounds come around, it's going to be tougher. The goals are going to be harder to come by. And so let's have some fun in the group stage. None of this 0-0 own goal, 1-0 penalty bullshit. We're getting 6-0s. We're getting 4-1s. We're getting 7-1s. We're getting 5-1s. We're getting 3-1s. 4-2. 3-0s. 3-1s. 2-2s. We're getting those at a regular clip. I mean, let's count how many 1-0s there's been. Okay, 1-1-0 Scotland over Haiti, which was, man, Scotland, you got to do way better than that. That was poor. Ivory Coast with that late last second goal over Ecuador. And then Spain, Cape Verde with the 0-0. That's the only 0-0 of the tournament so far. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ghana over Panama, that late one as well. Let's see. So you have 4 games where there's been 1-0s or 0-0s, and a couple of those games have actually been really good still. So most Jonathan David now with a hat trick. That's incredible. So Messi and Jonathan David now with hat tricks in the World Cup. So what am I thinking right now with this World Cup? I'm loving the goals. I'm loving the goals. Just goal fest, goal fest, goal fest. I'm loving that there's star power. The stars are showing out. You know, every big time name is delivering. Messi with the hat trick, Harry Kane with 2 goals, Kylian Mbappe with 2 goals, and they're brilliant, brilliant goals too. Kai Havertz even getting 2 goals. Erling Haaland in his World Cup debut, he does what you expect him to do. He scores 2 goals. Folarin Balogun in his World Cup debut, he really goes off for the U.S. He gives the U.S. a true target man. Pulisic gets his assist. Salah gets an assist on his birthday. Marco Arnautovic, an older dude, but he's still a big name. He gets his goal. Vinicius Jr. scores a screamer, a brilliant goal. Bacharina scores that brilliant goal against England. Bellingham, Rashford, Barcola, Musiala, Isak, Gyökeres, Yao Neves, Virgil van Dijk, Amad Diallo with a sick goal. You have a lot of goal scorers right now. The goals are just flowing, and the assists are too, guys. And that's what I love to see too. It's not just a bunch of garbage goals. It's a bunch of beautiful team goals, a bunch of brilliant passing, progressive play, brilliant attack-minded, incisive directness. And that's the thing that Spain are going to have to figure out, because here's the thing. The team that's going to win this tournament is going to be the team that attacks the most and has the right balance. Spain, they've got to figure it out. You cannot have that much of the ball. You cannot have that many shots. You cannot have that many chances and produce a 0-0 against Cape Verde. That just cannot happen. I mean, if anyone should deserve to be fired mid-tournament, it's probably Luis de la Fuente for letting Spain draw against Cape Verde. Like, I mean, it's not a loss, but my God, Cape Verde actually had the better chances as that game ended. It's incredible. So far, this World Cup has been, I mean, I've been astounded at how much fun it has been to watch. I understand all of the negativity surrounding this World Cup, the high ticket price, the extortionate ticket prices, the worries about the pitches, the worries about the atmospheres, the worries about the stadiums, about the logistics, about the politics, about Donald Trump's involvement, and about the war with Iran, the Iranian players and their lack of accommodations, the logistical nightmares, the raised ticket fares, the prices, all of that. And here's the truth about it. every time these tournaments go down and start happening, people just stop complaining and focus on the football and the tournament because it is such a beautiful thing. And it's such a sick thing that FIFA and sometimes UEFA have done to really take advantage of our love of the game and know that, hey, this is so cathartically beautiful for everybody. They'll pay anything. And you've seen it hasn't really dampened the atmospheres too much. I haven't really heard too much of empty stadiums. Maybe I need to research that and look into that more. I've been doing a lot of the LSU stuff even while watching these games, so I haven't really like researched or reported on that like I would with LSU. But it hasn't really dampened the atmosphere. The atmospheres have been electric at this World Cup. There's been some just masterpiece goals. There's been moments already. There's been powerful moments. I mean, Raul Jimenez scoring in the first match, crying, tears in his eyes, pointing up to the heavens. His father passed away, scores his first World Cup. Like, you had moments the second this thing started. And I think we're in the worst part of it right now with the first two groups because they're not really good games. You know, Qatar, Switzerland, Bosnia, some of these teams. So this is kind of like an off day in a way for a lot of us who follow this stuff so religiously. I'm just such a soccer fiend, a football fiend, because it's probably the only sport I was actually naturally gifted at. I had to work to be good at football. I had to work to be good at other things, but like passing a soccer ball was something like I could actually naturally do. And even when I had like a weight gain or something, I could just run for like days. Like even if I was dying, I could still do it. Like, so like I could always play. And so it was always a sport that I felt like was home as much as, college football. And it's something I'm always going to love to talk about and love to but this is definitely going to be a rare thing because it's in here in the United States. It's in our territory, and it's been such a special, unbelievable World Cup that I feel like it deserves mention. And at the end of the day, it's because I wanted to do it. At the end of the day, it was because I felt like I had to do this. I tried to do this a few days ago, but Chelsea called me right then. She was with the kids, and she had a flat tire and was on the side of the road. I had to immediately stop and get in the car and go get them. Like, I had to go and get that tire off the car, get that car replaced, but get them off the freeway immediately. So it was like I knew like, oh shit, the next like day and a half is like gone, devoted to this now. Like, but you have to do it. And so I really was looking forward to doing this. And this is no perfect this is a perfect time, no better time to do it than after that first round of group games where it's just been, man, it's been so high quality, a lot of the matches. I really think if you listen to some people, criticizing certain matches, I think they're really people who are just like, you want everything to be 7-7, or you're gonna say it's not attacking enough, because like this has been as attack oriented, as attack minded, as progressive tactically and mentality wise from the players, and has a lot more energy in the attack and in the pressing for a World Cup that I've seen in probably ever. I mean, 22 World Cup was probably the highest until this one. And we're only a game in. We'll see how it continues, but 2022 World Cup ebbed and flowed too. The 2022 World Cup had dips and valleys and peaks and moments where, and then it hit its apex in those last rounds of the tournament where, Argentina, Netherlands, Argentina, France, of course, England, France. There were some just unbelievable games at the end of that 2022 World Cup. but there were some real poor games in that group stage. I'm sorry. If you're going to say 7-1 Germany Curacao, that's poor. What is the point of watching soccer for you then? What's the point of watching football? For me, it's to watch goals being scored, entertaining passing and precision play and hard tackling, great saves, blocks off the line, like just teams that are hungry, that are just on a collision course, going at it. That's what I want to see. And you know what? That's what we have seen, I feel, 98, 99% of the time for every single one of these matches so far. That's just my opinion, but I really do feel like we have seen a very high quality tournament so far. I just Belgium, Egypt, that's a match where like it was starting to be really turgid, and then it suddenly just comes to life. Netherlands, Japan, a couple times in that game, the Netherlands try and slow it down and make it a real slog. And then Japan score and kind of force them out of that slog. There's been these moments in this World Cup that have been really, really exciting because both teams just punching each other in the face. Basically just, oh, you're going to go to sleep, France? Well, we're Senegal. We're going to try and score on you here. We're going to hit the post. We're going to scare the living daylights out of you. You better get your shit together. And then suddenly France win this thing 3-1. And three brilliant, beautiful goals. Not just 3 goals, just 3 brilliant, beautiful goals. But really, Messi doing something historic. Ronaldo with like the historic lows of where he's at with Portugal. Erling Haaland World Cup debut couldn't go any better. And, Norway really looking every bit of that dark horse special that they look to be. Croatia, even though they lost 4-2 and might look older at some spots, maybe Modric, we've seen this before in the past, even since Euro 2020, where Modric might have a bad game in the first of the Euros, or he's just not really effective. And then the rest of the tournament, he's just incredible. So like we've seen this with some of these teams, and we've seen better play from a lot of these teams than some people are saying, I think, out there. If anyone has a real negative opinion of what they've seen at this World Cup entertainment wise, I think they're full of shit. like Messi just scored a freaking hat trick. I mean, the worst game we have seen as far as goal scoring, as far as entertainment, was a goal where Cape Verde were basically defending an onslaught from Spain the entire game. Or Australia defending an onslaught from Turkey for an entire game. And both of those teams had a combined 57 shot attempts. So, like, even in these games where there hasn't been too many goals, there have been outrageous amounts of attacking play. Ghana, Ecuador. The post was hit 5 times in that game. It was 1-0, right? But the post was hit 5 times. We are getting a feast of football. And in a world that's been really dark, in a world that there's a lot of things that have been bad right now. There's a lot of things that are really just twisted and confusing and ugly and dark and just hideous right now. When you are able to sit back and enjoy a summer of a World Cup in the United States, where there's going to be 3.26 average goals per match right now, where England, a team that historically are just like negative as hell, are scoring and winning 4-2. You got to feel good about things. You got to feel good about life. Like you got to embrace these things that are positive right now, because man, there's not much going on that we can speak of that's very positive out in the world right now, as far as like global happenings. This World Cup, for all of its flaws, for all of its faults, for all of the disgusting evil of trying to merge politics with sports, which I find to be so freaking grotesque. Despite all of that, despite the absolute greed from FIFA, which has been so thoroughly exposed, thank God. Despite all of that, they still cannot take this sport from us. FIFA, this is not, that's why I put 2026 World Cup. I was not going to put 2026 FIFA World Cup. They may own the name and the rights, but they don't own the game. They don't own this game. We do. And the people have spoken. The people have taken it back. One last thing. These hydration breaks have to go. They are an absolute scandal. I've never seen anything introduced into a game of football that would actually affect the flow, the outcome of the game more than this. And I'm even including VAR in that conversation. I'm not even kidding about that. You affect the flow and the momentum of a soccer match. I mean, you've seen it already. Morocco are all over Brazil. They look like they're going to score a second goal. Water break. Brazil score. Like, how many times have we seen these massive momentum jumps due to these hydration breaks when it's like 75 degrees inside an air-conditioned stadium that has a roof over it? It's disgusting. We know why this is happening. It's extra ad money, ad revenue for FIFA. But they have legitimately turned the sport into a 4-quarter game, because just as that first half gets going, just as that second half gets going, bam, water break. I mean, what the hell is this? The second the momentum takes hold in the game, whether that's for this team or that team or just both teams going at it each, it kills the game like a shot to the head. It's just, it's so wrong. It's so just not, it's not the game. It's not how the game should be. And this World Cup will be remembered for this, and not in a good way. Because there's going to be results that are going to be taken from teams by these water breaks. There's as much as that's crazy to say, you are going to see a lot of momentum stolen from teams. Not by a referee, not by another team, not by the football itself being taken from you, but by FIFA's ad man, by the network television ad man saying when the game can go and when it can't, and literally being right there ordering the referee, no, that's 20 seconds too soon. We got to wait for this ad to end. Oh, you missed almost a goal. You missed a shot on target. Wow. Oh, well, we got that Arby's ad in. You know, that's that. When you get to that level of greed, it's so ugly and so hideous and so wrong. Something's got to be done. And sadly, I don't think something will be done before this World Cup ends. So I think we're going to have to deal with this World Cup as it is. We're going to have to meet this World Cup in the middle with its 4 quarters. Absolutely insane, but it is what it is, guys. But you know what? Anything that has been extremely negative about this World Cup, I've addressed, I've thought of, I've talked about, I've written about. I've got all this stuff written about this World Cup. I've got like a whole book about this World Cup I've got put together that I'm going to just keep going through and writing my thoughts about this whole stuff. I've been doing that for every World Cup since 2006. And I'm just so hyped for more games, guys. This is just going to get better and better and better. And if you want me to continue doing this, if you want me to continue talking about this, then we'll do that. Look at this guy. Add photo Cristiano, bro. You Messi fans, idiot. Learn some like how to read and have some reading comprehension, some grammar. You can't even read or write or speak. But also, did you not just see? Did you not just see what your guy did and what my guy did? Did you not just see that? Did you not just see that? Your guy is hated by his team. Your guy, Ronaldo, takes his team down. Your guy literally makes sure the referee knows that his teammate's goal is offside so that his teammate won't score, but Ronaldo will score at some point. Like your guy is so selfish, he hates when his teammates have success. My guy is loved by his team so much that they are literally willing to die for Messi on the pitch. They have said that. Emi Martinez said, goalkeeper for Argentina, said, I would die for Messi on the pitch. Rodrigo de Paul said, I would go to war with Messi without needing to know the reason. No teammate has ever said the same or anything even close about Cristiano Ronaldo. And that's all you need to know about how the two players are. And there is only one GOAT. There is only one GOAT. And he just let you know it once again this last performance. And he's going to let you know it again and again this tournament. Because I think Messi is going to just keep going off. And I think he has a lot more in him here. And not just goals, but assists. I think Messi's going to lead the assists table. And I think he has a very good shot of also winning the Golden Boot. He's just right now operating on another level. Everybody, thank you so much for joining and listening. We'll be talking to you soon. We have some LSU Odyssey stuff that we will be posting on the site, so definitely check that out. But this is something for fun that we wanted to try. So thank you for joining us.